Hello everyone! Oh my god, this is the first video I'm putting up this year, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I have been working on other things. I just thought I would make this and talk about some things that I've been reading, some things that I've been watching, and some like movie, TV announcements that I kind of wanted to like talk about a little bit, and then also update you on some videos that I'm working on, which I will start off with. Yes, I will start off with that. So I do have plans for at least books that I read in 2021. I have filmed 2 parts. They are quite long. They're like an hour and a half each. I've started editing part 1. Don't know if I'm going to re-film part 2. I like certain things that I say, but then like I get worried. Like I think there are other things I could have said better, but then I think about refilming and I'm like, oh, but if I don't say these other things that I actually said well, and I hate like trying to splice together like two different versions of like the same video, you know what I mean? So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do yet for that. I probably will just end up editing the part 2 that I have currently. It's 2 parts. They'll both be pretty long. The first part so far, I've edited half of it, and it's like still an hour and 20 minutes, but you can skip around, you can take your time watching it, whatever. It will be all the books that I read in 2021. I meant to just focus on favorites, and that didn't happen. So I do talk about every book. And obviously, I mean, when you think about it, I read more than 30 books. I won't tell you how many specifically. I read more than 30 books. If that's like 2 hours, that's technically not that much time to talk about each book when you think about it. And also, I have like play collections and short story collections, so that's not even just one book. That could be like 3 plays in one book. So it's a lot to talk about when you break it down. So anyway, that'll be coming. I'm not sure when. I've been trying to film this video here for like a week and haven't really had the time. Timing hasn't worked out. So here I am finally doing this. It's like the 18th or something. That's what's up with the videos. I thought about doing a like favorite movies or standout movies that I watched in 2021. Not that came out in 2021, but like things that I watched. However, the site that I used before to make videos where I have like clips of movies does not, it's like been corrupted essentially. It was just like a YouTube to MP3 or MP4 sort of site, and it's the kind of situation now where you click download. You paste the YouTube link, you click download, and then you get a notification from your like antivirus stuff, technical term that I don't know, saying like it's blocked a malicious attack, and it's like, oh great. So not using that site anymore. I don't remember what it was called. I think like YT to MP3, I don't remember. There are a handful that are like really similar that have just slowly been unable to use. I think I could find things maybe like by using Twitter and like videos people post on Twitter and certain sites and apps that you can download Twitter videos. But other than that, I'm not exactly sure where to find clips from movies. Obviously stills, if stills are available, I can do that. But I was thinking about doing it as sort of voiceover thing, countdown, instead of like me being on the screen and doing stuff. And then also maybe a compilation of like some of my favorite songs from 2021, since it's been a while since I uploaded a music related video. I wanted to do one last year, and then people's videos kept being blocked. That happens all the time. I'll think of a good like music related video to do, and then I'll make it, or I will think about making it, and then people who make videos that would also have said music in those videos, they end up getting blocked or removed or something like that. And I just never want to risk like a strike happening. I guess I don't mind like removals and blocks. Obviously that's disappointing, but when I see that happening, I'm just like, what's the point of even trying to upload it if people's videos are just being blocked left and right? So we'll have to see how that goes, now that I'm saying that out loud. But I would like to do something like that. Maybe have to minimize the clips a lot more to like 10 seconds or less, instead of like I always like to give like people enough time to be like, I might check out that song, but I don't know if that's going to be possible. Anyway, those are some things. Now, some casting news that I wanted to discuss. So, I'll start off with the thing that's mostly just like exciting for me is that Shadow and Bone season 2 has announced their new cast members. They posted a video and some photos on their social media accounts. Shadow and Bone is a TV show on Netflix, and it's an adaptation of Girshaverse books by Leigh Bardugo. So there's like multiple series within the Girshaverse. Namely, it is the Shadow and Bone trilogy and the Six of Crows duology. And season 1 focused on Shadow and Bone, the first book of the trilogy, and Six of Crows, the first book in the duology, but kind of like flashback stuff with Six of Crows. The main heist of that book has not really been delved into yet. There's a lot of just the whole combination of the two book series within one show is interesting because they take place in separate times. I think they're 2 years apart, if I'm remembering correctly. So the Six of Crows duology takes place 2 years after the Shadow and Bone trilogy. So none of these characters actually interact in the books, but in the show they do. And so season 2 will focus on the second book, Siege and Storm, where you have some new characters, which is why there was a casting announcement. So Tamar and Tolya and Wylan, who is in Six of Crows, and my favorite character, who is introduced in this book, Nikolai, has been cast. I actually don't know any of the actors' names off the top of my head. I have not really looked into them because I don't really want to associate them with anything else. Like, I just want to see them as, you know, Nikolai and Wylan and such. So, haven't really looked into what they're like. I don't think I really want that. I just want to go into them with Shadow and Bone. So, yes, Siege and Storm. I'm so excited for like things that happen in this book, and specifically things that happen in Ruin and Rising, the third book. It's very exciting. I think now that I'm thinking about it, I think I'm more excited for the Shadow and Bone stuff more than I am the Six of Crows stuff, because my favorite parts of the books are kind of already in the show, and that's a whole other thing. I mentioned this in my part 1 of my, that I have not posted yet, of all the books that I read in 2021. I want to rewatch Shadow and Bone and talk about it, because I have feelings. I have lots of thoughts pertaining to my faves that I will not go into here, because that's not the point of this. However, something that I feel like Sturm, I had to look this up again too. Sturmhond, right? Sturmhond should also be announced. I won't go into details about this because it's kind of like spoilery, but if you've read at least up to Siege and Storm in the Shadow and Bone trilogy, I want Sturmhond to be another person. I need to know that that's going to be another actor that hasn't been announced yet, because I think that that is what is the best option for Sturmhond. What do you think? Please, if you have read Siege and Storm, tell me what you think. I want it to be another actor. Who's Sturmhond is basically my question. Yes, okay. I feel like that's really hinting at something, which it kind of is, but who's Sturmhond? Okay, and then the other casting thing that I wanted to mention is that Rooney Mara has been announced to be playing Audrey Hepburn in I don't know if it's a movie or a miniseries, but a biopic about Audrey Hepburn, and that'll be helmed by Luca Guadagnino. I think he's set to direct it, but I'm not sure like how much he's involved in other roles behind the scenes. And I think this is good casting. I saw a lot of people being like, but Lily Collins exists, and I just don't think that Lily has the acting chops. I can't see her as Audrey, even though she has certain like personality traits and looks that are similar to Audrey. I just don't think that. I think it would be like Jennifer Love Hewitt all over again.
Thank you, Ginny. But if I don't get this right the next time, they're going to make me drive the taxi and let you wear the dress. Oh, look what I've done. Look what I've done, Blake. Darling, it's hopeless.
You will get it.
Look, can I just please have an ice cream cone?
No offense to her, Lily Collins, I really like her, but I don't think she's that great of an actress. I like her as a person, and I think that is something that a lot of people are kind of mixing up. When I saw some comments that were like, I didn't realize Lily Collins had so many fans, and it's like, it's because she's been cast as characters that people like, and people like Lily Collins as a person. And of course, I mean, I have her memoir, and I like that, and I like how, like, real she, like, there's a lot of things to like about her, and in a way that makes it seem good that she could play Audrey Hepburn. But I just don't think that her acting ability is on par with what should be done, or what a great biopic would be. And I think Rooney Mara is great. I think that she has this, like, awkwardness and shyness that sometimes comes off as, like, seeming cold, which I think works well for certain roles, but obviously she'll have to turn up that sort of charm and warm-heartedness for Audrey, because those are major qualities, I think, of when I think of Audrey. So I also think something that I didn't see anybody mentioning is that, assuming everything went well, last year Rooney was doing the Brideshead Revisited miniseries, also being directed and written by Luca Guadagnino. That was filmed last summer, as long as everything went according to plan, according to the articles in late 2020, and maybe there were some updates in early 2021, but I'm pretty sure filming was supposed to start in, like, May of last year. So I feel like Luca Guadagnino probably is like, yeah, she works well for Audrey Hepburn because they had already been filming together. Anyway, I don't know. I feel like I just really wanted to point that out, that they're working together / have worked together. Again, I don't really know where things are in terms of the production of the new Brideshead Revisited miniseries. Also, this is not what I was going to talk about, but I realized this last week or a couple weeks ago, and I just want to mention it now that I'm thinking about it again. I was, like, on board with the casting. I don't really know who Joe Alwyn is. I can't think of anything that I've seen him in, but he is going to play, or is playing, Sebastian. Andrew Garfield is playing Charles. Rooney Mara is playing Julia. Kate Blanchett and Ralph Fiennes are playing Lady and Lord Marchmain, respectively. And I think that's all the casting that was announced. I was, like, on board with that casting. Like, I see it. But then I realized, aren't they supposed to be in, like, their early 20s or something? Like, Julia, I think, is 18 or turns 18 in the book. And obviously, Sebastian and Charles meet at university, at Oxford, their first year. I'm not exactly sure the way that, like, British upper class school systems worked in the 30s, but I would say they're, like, in their early 20s. And Andrew Garfield is just too old for that now. Okay, editing me here. I think this room is pretty echoey, so I apologize for that. I go on here about how I saw clips and, like, the trailer for Tick Tick Boom and thought that Andrew Garfield is looking older. Makes sense. He's been around for a number of years. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I'm holding my phone right now. But he's been around for a number of years. He's getting older. It's fine. It happens to everyone. Anyway, I thought that he's looking older, and he doesn't look the same age as that the characters, like, should be, at least in the way that they're introduced. But I do realize that they grow. That Brideshead Revisited does take place over, like, a decade, maybe? I should look this up. Like, I'm literally editing right now. Yeah, okay, it follows from the 20s to the early 40s. Obviously, Charles Ryder, it's like the prologue of Brideshead Revisited is Charles Ryder being a captain in the army in World War II. So that is the furthest time that we see him in, and then we see him, of course, in his early 20s when he's going off to university, or what I think of as university. Like, I don't really know how the UK upper class schooling system works, especially in the 20s, or the 30s. Basically, it takes place in the 30s. Yeah, so like at least a decade. So like I get that for casting older actors. And of course, it's also what the 2008 movie did and the 1981 miniseries. I don't know. I was seeing clips of Andrew Garfield and I was like, he's gonna play Charles? Also, when I saw the casting, I thought he was gonna play Sebastian because I've seen clips of him in Angels in America on Broadway, right? So I thought that he was going to play Sebastian. So I'm very curious on how all of this is going, how it will go. I think as long as the characters all look the same age, as long as Charles and Sebastian look around the same age and Julia looks a little bit younger than them, it'll be fine. Hopefully they can do something with the costuming and makeup that will make them look a little younger when, it's like part one, and then age them as, or just don't put as much makeup on them, I guess, as the story progresses. Yes, okay. I'm sorry, I'm like doing this handheld. Okay. Yeah. Not sure what to think now about the casting. And even, I think Rooney Mara is great for Julia, but even she, I think, is like, she's not the right age to play Julia. But I guess if they are around the same age or look the same age, as long as the trio, again, look around the same age, then it's all right. Not sure. We'll have to see how it goes, how it looks, how it turns out. There's going to be a lot of elements that I'm overthinking when I watch it, whenever it arrives. Okay, and then, this is what I forgot last time, is that I've been starting to watch Downton Abbey. It's been like a couple weeks, I think, since I've like picked it back up again. Months ago, I watched the first episode, and I liked it, but I wasn't like fully into it. And then, yeah, a couple weeks ago, I watched episode 2 and was just like into it. I was like, yes, period pieces, characters that like for some reason I'm attached to now, when the first episode did not do that at all, which is saying a lot because I actually like really like pilots most of the time. I love being introduced to characters. I was feeling it much more this time around, and I am on the last episode of season 2 as of today, as of when I'm filming this. And I'm very much liking it. I think so many of the characters are really interesting, and I'm constantly having to check, okay, like, wait, what does this person know, and what don't they know, and then, like, this person, do they know this? There's so much that goes on, and I'm so bad at remembering things, from movies, from shows, from books, from everything, like, especially when there are so many characters that are, like, interconnected, it can just really be a lot, and I'm already struggling, and I'm only at the end of season 2. I think there are 6 seasons, if I'm not mistaken, and then there is one movie that came out a few years ago, and then there's a new movie coming out this year, so I'm hoping to finish the show. I'm hoping to watch everything by the time the new movie comes out, which I think is in April. I could be wrong, but I think it's in April, or at least that's the set timing as of now. I think, I don't know, maybe it's just because if you've seen on my Instagram, I've been obsessed with this red and sort of black detailed dress that Mary wears. Mary is like slowly becoming one of my favorite characters. I think Edith and Cora are really interesting. I like how like real the characters feel. Like there are things that you like about them, and then there are things that you don't like about them. Even Miss O'Brien is like growing on me. Mary's growing on me. I figured I would like her, but sometimes I'm just like, what is she doing? I don't like her. Particularly in season 1. And even like Edith does things that I don't like, but again, I find her so interesting. Yes, I really like Anna. And oh my god, it was yesterday. Yesterday I was watching series 2, because for some reason like UK shows a lot of the time call seasons like series, which confuses me so much because when someone says series, I just think of something overall. So I'm just going to continue to say seasons, but season 2, episode 8, oh my god, what a whirlwind. I cried like 5 times. I gave myself a sinus headache. Like, It was awful. Cried a lot, roller coaster of emotions. I like cry really easily, but that's fine. I don't know why I felt that. I cry really easily. That's why I cried 5 times in one episode. I was happy. I was sad. Oh, gosh. So much. Yes. Oh my god. And Maggie Smith as the grandmother. Why can't I think of her name? Violet? She's great. She has a lot of like one-liners that are just like, okay, yeah, that's funny. I don't necessarily laugh out loud every time, but there are some funny lines she has. The lighting is so much better like this, but ignore the background. Hello, editing me here again. You can tell it's a different day because I have a different sweater on. I'm splitting this video up into 2 parts basically. So in the next video I will talk about a couple of books I've read and a couple of movies that I've watched. So stick around for that. I guess that gives me some time to continue editing the books that I read in 2021 videos, and these can go up, you know, in the meantime. Alright, what show have you been watching? What do you think about the movie show news that I talked about? Things like that. What are you up to? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the second part.